Hello and welcome back to all Control Panel Innovation Seekers. My name is Jorge Olarte. I am Application Consultant for Industrial Control Panels. It is an honor and a pleasure for me to be your speaker today. Today's topic, enclosure type and IP rating in control panels. Enclosures for electrical equipment can be found in countless applications and areas. In either case, they must be protected in such a way that the electrical equipment is not harmed and does not cause any harm as a result of the respective environmental and operating conditions throughout their service life. When we talk about this type of protections, there are often two standards used worldwide for classifying the degrees of protection. For international markets, we use the IEC standards. Let me show you how. The IP degrees of protection are based on the requirements of the international standard IEC 60529 and indicate the suitability of electrical equipment with regard to use under various environmental conditions. The IP degree of protection defines the protection against contact with live parts, ingress of foreign objects, ingress of water inside or into the enclosure. IP stands for International Protection, also sometimes mentioned as ingress protection. The IP code is expressed with one or two characteristic numerals and up to two optional letters. The IP degree of protection is designated as follows. Each position stands for a defined protective function. The first position is the protection against contact or ingress of foreign objects. The second position is the protection against ingress of water. Third positional is an additional protection against contact that is optional. And the fourth position, also optional, supplementary information. If the characterization of one of the first two positions is not relevant, it can be replaced with an X. Here, an overview of the IP degrees of protection. In the case of US standards, NEMA is a US trade association that represents the interests of electrotechnical industry and, among other things, is a publisher of numerous standards. NEMA stands for National Electrical Manufacturers Association. NEMA enclosure types are defined in the standard NEMA 250, Enclosures for Electrical Equipment. NEMA is not a testing organization that tests enclosures for compliance with the standard. These testings must be done in the US by recognized test labs, or NRTLs, nationally recognized laboratories, such as UL, CSA, or others. The standard UL 50E, Enclosures for Electrical Equipment, Environmental Considerations, is actually applied for this testing. A NEMA 250 enclosure type rating indicates numerous protective functions, such as protection against direct contact, suitability for use indoor and outdoor installations, protection against ingress of water, dust, oil or coolants, and protection against ice formation and falling dirt. Also, protection against corrosion. Here, an overview of the enclosure types from NEMA. When designing and equipping enclosures for electrotechnical components that are intended for worldwide use, both the IP degrees of protection and NEMA enclosure types should therefore be taken into account. In control panels, we often, if not always, need to install components to operate machines without opening the panel. We need to be able to control them from the outside. Openings to the enclosures need to be made, and to maintain the enclosure type or the degree of protection, the products mounted must have an equal or higher rating than the one of the enclosure. Let us see an example. In any chain, the weakest part will always break. Here, it happens the same. If I have an enclosure type IP56, the products mounted cannot have a smaller rating than this if I want to maintain the degree of protection. In NEMA enclosure types, same thing happens. As you can see here, for example, if openings are made in an enclosure with NEMA enclosure type 4, only components that themselves conform to NEMA enclosure type 4, 4X, 6 or 6P may be mounted in these openings. Otherwise, the original NEMA enclosure type 4 no longer applies to the enclosure. Push buttons and indicator lights of the Series Act portfolio are designed for a host of applications in different industries and can be used around the world thanks to their wide-ranging certifications. The portfolio, which encompasses 4 product lines, combines a modern design, comprehensive communication capabilities via AS interface or Profinet, easy handling, which also allows mounting with one hand, and they also have a high degree of ruggedness and reliability. Thanks to the versions with IP degree of protection IP69K and NEMA enclosure types 1, 2, 3, 3R, 4, 4X, 12 and 13 for the North American market. When you need to operate the main breaker or switch disconnect of a control panel from the outside, accessories for these products may be used also when installed on the enclosure. Here, for example, you see the door or wall-mounted rotary handle for 3VA breaker has been tested in IEC and UL product standards and comply with both of them. You would assume that for NEMA or North American markets, always you will need an up and down manual operator, but actually a rotary mechanism can also be used. The aim of the information is the same. It is about the protection of the electrical equipment with regard to the environmental and operating conditions. As you can see, sometimes it is always helpful to seek and to apply intersections of various standards in order to achieve the highest standardization possible. As a summary, we have globally designed certified products that can be installed to fulfill your needs. There you have it, standardized solution for helping you in your design, product selection and production processes. This also helps to avoid losing the needed degree of protection in the enclosure type that you need. If you want to know more about this or more topics regarding industrial control panels, our main global website that you see here, siemens.com/control panel, provides assets, reference manual, white papers, video tutorials, web-based trainings, and software tools. It is all about the electrical engineering for industrial machinery and for industrial control panels. We invite you to visit it. Thank you all and stay tuned for the series of videos.